Hello, dear friends. So today we continue with our beautiful stories, The Power of the Spirit by Alfred Hosp, also known as Freddy in the book. So now we come to the story 40, part E, so the last paragraph of Walt Bruno's speech. Bruno said, "Gladly, silently, and on my own, I often visit the most varied sorts of graveyard. But it is not really peaceful there. For this is just the wishful thinking of the living. It is precisely for this reason that I keep going there again and again. I am drawn to where help is needed. Believe me, friends, to do this kind of thing, someone who can see spiritual entities needs a great deal of love, strong nerves, and divine protection as well. In most cases, you yourself are too weak and unprepared to recognize evil in good time and to ward off its influence. I can therefore only advise you to avoid places, objects, and people in those vicinity you do not feel good, for you are sensing the presence of something bad." A short paragraph here, but like a few points I have to make, which is very important. And then first, like Bruno said, he always go to graveyards, and then it probably sounds crazy. To go to graveyards for what? So because, as what Bruno said, like they always like the spiritual beings there, that whoever pass on or pass over or pass away in this lifetime, and then they left their physical body and then they got into the spiritual reality, the spiritual realm. And then not everybody is peaceful, not RIP, that's what we always say. I've been to many funerals here in Australia, so and we always say rest in peace. So I mean, I'm myself a registered nurse, so I used to work in an aged care place. And then we have like people pass away all the time, and then we say, well, please rest in peace. But how often the people do rest rest in peace, we don't know. Okay, just our wishful thinking. Okay, our beautiful wish, or wish everybody rests in peace, because traditionally we believe like once we pass away, and then we either go up or down. Okay, you know what I'm talking about, heaven or hell. But in reality, it's not like that. As what Bruno said, it's not the place for peace. And then because lots of souls, whatever was burdened and then by their karmas, and then they do not live in peace there. They were always tormented for whatever the things they did wrong when they were alive. And then the one as Bruno, like Bruno, who has the ability to help them, and then he always goes there and to help whoever is needed. And then because he's able to see the spiritual entities, of course, like if you're able to see the spiritual entities, that means you can see the angels and the evils. And Bruno won, and then he said like the one who can see the spiritual entities needs a great deal of love, strong nerves, and divine protection. Otherwise, seeing spiritual entities will be a big nightmare. Like lots of people, they can see the spirit, but they can't handle it. And then like day and night, they don't get rest. And then at the end, there's lots of people like end up killing themselves because they can't handle this. Or they get like into depression or all sorts of mental health issues. And then as what Bruno pointed out, and then you yourself are too weak and unprepared to recognize evil in the good time and ward off the influence. So, as you cannot do that, if you can't protect yourself properly, so do not go to the places. Do not go to the graveyards. I once camped in the graveyards. I was a little younger and innocent. I thought like, okay, I just camp in the graveyards, and then because that was nice and quiet place, that I could find a spot to pitch my tent. Of course, like naturally, I didn't go right into it. I just basically camp like at outskirts. So but anyway, so I didn't see anything. Probably lucky. If I could see something, I probably wouldn't go to sleep. So with graveyard, there was a I see like very different pictures between different cultures. So I myself has a Chinese background, and no Chinese, even the most unsuperstitious Chinese, would never ever live near the graveyard. So in my city, the city I come from, so we have the graveyard outskirts, and then within the 30 kilometers, and there's no houses apart from the crematorium like facilities but no residential place, because all Chinese they know its graveyards is very negative energy, and then of course lots of people will believe there's entities there or ghosts, whatever you say. And then they do not live there. They do not go live anywhere near the graveyard. So it's very funnily. So when I came to Australia, and I used to see Australian friends, and then they just live next to a graveyard, cross the road. So it's only about 20 meters away from the graveyard. So certainly, I'm not sure what should I say, or what should I call them, brave or whatever. Like this is the very different phenomenon. Obviously they probably don't believe that. They don't believe the spirits will hanging around. So they just they believe once people die, they will go up and down, up or down. So that's the thing, is you do not live in that very negative place full of spirits. So the one who is sensitive, they'll pick it up. If you are not sensitive, you won't pick it up. So I myself not very sensitive person, but if my wife suddenly live in the graveyard, near graveyard, she'll pick up something, and then for sure, because some people are very sensitive. They can pick up, they can sense the presence of the so-called ghost or spirit or some spiritual entities or evil entities. So do not live in that place that you do not know what. So, and then also Bruno say avoid any object, and then he talking about something you might just don't feel good. It can be a chain, it can be a ring. So if you don't feel good about it, don't put it onto you, because some every object's loaded up with the charge, with the energy, whether it's good and bad. So if you pick up something really bad energy and then it got onto you, and then unaware about whatever's going on, you could whatever the negative things, you pick it up from the object, from the ring, from the gold chain or whatever. It can burden your life and burden your journey, your destiny. And also often we come across people that is very crucial. And then these days, in the secular world, we still don't believe this energy transformation. But every time when you touch somebody, there is energy exchange. Okay, like shake hand, give a hug. Especially in the Western culture, in the Latin culture, the people are very warm. Especially we hug all the time. I'm in Australia here, I see people hugging all the time. Apart from got scared by the virus these days, so they don't hug too much now, or nor do they shake hand. But every time when you have physical contact with people, there's energy exchange. Even though for some people who are very sensitive, and then even though those sensitive people they just stand around some good or bad people with good or bad intention, they can pick up the energy too. They can pick up the emotions. So if you don't feel good, and then that means you are sensing something bad. So if you stand next to a man or woman and you feel really uncomfortable, you feel really bad somehow, you don't know why, you just don't feel good, so stay away, because they might have evil attention against you, or they might just load up with different evil entities, lower spiritual beings, or their energy is so negative. That's why you could feel it. Pay attention to your feeling, not only think but feel too. That's what the most mistake that most men will make, because we always say I think, but often we should say I feel. Do you feel good or do you not feel good? So again, do not do anything that the consequences you cannot assess. Okay, dear friend, I wish you have a good day and God bless.